Hey friends, my name is Eden Croft from Prospering Beauty. I help aspiring beautypreneurs create their first line of natural beauty products and to sell them profitably. So today, in this question of the day video, I'd like to answer one of the most frequently asked questions I get from people who've gotten past the stage of figuring out how to make their product or how to get it manufactured or how to sell it. And they're at the place where they want to place the actual product in a jar or bottle or tube, and they're sort of feeling distressed about what should actually go on their label. So that's the question I'm going to address today, which is what should go on your label. So without much further ado, I am going to share my screen, as that is going to be the most effective way to talk you through this. So when you're looking at a product label, there are many things that you want to consider, okay? And so as you start the process of making this label, it becomes very obvious very quickly that there are several considerations that you need to juggle. So while we're waiting for this to load, this is the face that people have usually, like, oh, what should I put on my label? So for one thing, it's not just about making it look pretty. That's important, but there are people with ugly packaging who are able to sell their product really well. And why is that? Okay, so you've got to have a mix of visual appeal and functionality and marketability. So the first thing is, at one glance, it's got to be clear who that product is for. Okay, I don't want to have to wonder, is this a men's product? Is this a woman's product? Is this for babies? Is this for hair? Is it for straight hair? Is it for hair loss? What is it for? So just at a glance, people should be able to figure out immediately what that product is or who it's for. The second thing is, you've got to indicate the benefits of using your product regularly, okay? Because, your product label should stand in for you a little bit as a salesperson. Because imagine in a store, if the salesperson is busy and person is just perusing on the shelves by themselves without any assistance, how are they supposed to figure out between this product and that product which one they should use? The one with more clear languaging, it's not about the one that looks the prettiest. The one with clearer languaging about who the product is for is going to be the one that wins. Okay, and of course there are legal requirements in every country. Your product label obviously should meet those, and they should give clear directions for proper use. And I'll go more into all these points in a little bit. And, when there's room, you should also have buzzwords. They're going to be ingredients that are in style at the moment, or they're going to be, key things that people are looking at that are in vogue in the fashion world or in the cosmetics, beauty, makeup world. So if your product does address some of those things, you might want to include some of those buzzwords. All right. So my first example is in naming a product. Okay, so let's just say you're making a hydrating serum that has hyaluronic acid or vitamin C. So you could call it hyaluronic acid and vitamin C serum, right? So even though it's now a buzzword, most people still don't know what a hyaluronic acid serum is or what it does really, okay? And a lot of people understand that vitamin C is awesome, but they still don't understand why it's awesome. Okay, so in this case, rather than calling it by its main ingredients, right, hyaluronic acid and vitamin C serum, you'd want to call it by its main benefit to the customer. So I would rename it to oil-free hydrating and brightening serum. Okay, why? Because there's some people who really don't want any oil on their face because they feel like their face is way too oily, right? So they would know, oh, this is going to moisturize my face without making it oily. Okay, so I would say I'd include hydrating, so they know it's going to moisturize or plump up somehow, especially if they have dry skin, and brightening, because that's pretty much what vitamin C is going to do, amongst other things. But those are things that might appeal to a certain age group, like older women of all ethnic groups, white, Asian, Black, Latino, Latina, whatever. They they all experience age spots from aging and an uneven complexion, right? So a brightening serum is going to not bleach the skin, but it is going to lighten up the dark spots and kind of create a more even complexion, right? So instead of saying hyaluronic acid and vitamin C, that's not going to appeal to someone who doesn't know what those things do. But if you use the keywords, the buzzwords, hydrating and brightening, they're going to be like, oh, okay, maybe this is the product that I need. Another name you could use is anti-aging firming and priming serum. So as we age, we start to reduce our ability to produce collagen, right? That ability goes down, and then we start to lose some of that firmness to the face. Our jaws start sagging a bit, our face starts to sag a bit, and priming. For people who wear makeup, they already know that a primer is going to allow you to put your foundation on more smoothly, and whatever products go on top of that. So it's something that's a buzzword in makeup, so they would understand that a priming serum is going to allow you to absorb the moisturizer even more readily, right? So you would make that the product name, and then you'd have a subtitle underneath that says, so for the hydrating and brightening serum, you could say hyaluronic acid and vitamin C promote dewy, radiant skin. Or you could say optimizes moisture absorption. For the anti-aging, firming, and priming serum, you could say it reverses visible, sagging, and deep wrinkles. You could say it diminishes visible, sagging, fine lines, and age spots. Okay, so just be aware of what niche you're serving. All right, so if you're being practical, in the case of a hyaluronic acid and vitamin C serum, it's going to be a very small bottle. Okay, so you want to say as much as possible in a very tiny space. Okay, so at this point, this is where you want to start taking notes. Now, if you're on my email list, I obviously will give you a cheat sheet, right, that is attached to this video, that you can download and write your own notes on or whatever, right? So if you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, it's free. You just go to prosperandbeauty.com and you just fill out your email and so forth. And in the welcome email, you get a whole library full of lessons just like this and documents and so forth. Okay. Otherwise, if you don't want to subscribe to my newsletter and you just want the information in the video, that's fine too. You will just have to take notes for this tutorial. So the first thing that you're going to put, and this is going to be on the front panel of your bottle, is your logo and your brand name. Okay, so for many people, their logo has their brand name clearly visible on it, right? So in that case, just the logo is enough. But if you have a logo that's really sort of, very artistic and it's not quite easy to read your brand name, and if you don't know whether your brand name is easy or not to read, just give it to people and ask them and they'll tell you. Just give it to 5 or 10 people randomly and say, what do you think the name of this brand is? And see how long it takes for them to find it. All right, so if the logo does not include your brand name in a way that is easy to read, then you will want to clearly put the brand name up top. Okay, so in addition to your logo, right under there, you'll want to print your brand name so that when people are looking it up, they can easily find the product. They might not remember the name of the product exactly, but most likely they will remember the brand name. Okay, so your brand name has to be visible, front of the label, up top, and very clear. The next thing comes the product name, and we talked about that a little bit in the previous slide. Okay, so I decided to go with oil-free hydrating and brightening serum. So why am I choosing this name? It's because I want people to know that it's not an oil-based facial serum or facial oil, right? Because a lot of people will use the word serum to mean an oil blend. Okay, so I want them to know this is not an oil blend, okay? And there's no oil at all in this for people who are averse to oil on their face for whatever reason. Okay, so it's completely water-based. I want them to know it's going to address excessive dryness, because if something is oil-free, people think, okay, it's not going to be moisturizing or it's not going to help my dry skin. But if it's hydrating, it still could address that. I want them to know that it's going to address the hyperpigmentation and general dullness that can sometimes plague aging skin. Okay. What's the subtitle? The subtitle is going to be Anti-Aging Herbal Complex with Hyaluronic Acid and Vitamin C. So it contains 3 buzzwords, right? Anti-aging, hyaluronic acid, and vitamin C. I guess vitamin C and hyaluronic acid are 2 words each, but you know what I'm saying. 3 buzz phrases, let's just say. And you could even say the 4th one would be herbal complex if you were looking at that. But some people don't care about that. If you say anti-aging, if you say hyaluronic acid, and you say vitamin C, you're going to find people who will raise their hands for all of those. The size, okay. So as far as size is concerned, you always want to do volume on a label. Sometimes people want to put the weight of the product on the label when they're new makers, and I think that's a no-no. Even though it's legal, it's still a no-no because people don't understand weight, okay? But they understand size, okay? So even though your formulas should always be by weight, no one ever takes a product home and puts it on a scale and to see how much it weighs. They only want to know how big it'll be. How much am I getting? So, you know, in the United States, you'll probably do fluid ounces, right? Or, you know, liters and milliliters. And then in the EU and elsewhere in the world, you would do milliliters or liters, depending on the size of your product. Side panel. Okay, so you're going to have 2 side panels when you look at your label, usually what you see up front, and then you turn it from side to side, and there's more writing on there usually, and that's a great place to be able to fill in more details. So the side panel, what are the benefits? This revolutionary herbal complex is full of antioxidants that will slow down and even reverse some visible signs of aging, such as sagging and wrinkled skin. Hyaluronic acid plumps up the skin with precious water for that youthful, dewy glow, while vitamin C helps to lighten up age spots and even out the complexion, right? So if they don't understand why vitamin C is important or why hyaluronic acid is important, you gave them just a quick preview of why that's important. If someone is at the point where they're starting to see visible signs of aging on their face in a way that worries them, or they feel like they're entering a phase where it's accelerating, and they see those buzzwords like sagging and wrinkled, they see dull, they see age spots, they see even out the complexion, they're going to be like, okay, this might address my problem, right? And then on this side panel, I advise that you put the address of manufacturer, which in the United States is required. I suspect that that's required in most countries, and then a way for them to contact you. Now, this is required legally so that if they have issues, they have a place where they can have those issues addressed. However, for you personally, you want to include this because this is an opportunity for you to sell them again later, or for them to upsell to something more. Like maybe they buy one product in the store, then they visit your website and they get to buy the whole system because they understand it's more fully laid out there, right? So just be thinking about that when you include those things, and not always be thinking about it from a place of defensiveness, right? There are very few people who would actually show up at your house or whatever. I mean, I've never ever had it happen. So, just do the thing that's legal and safe, but also make yourself available for more sales. On the other side of the panel, so there's two side panels. So when the product is on the shelf, you're looking at the front panel. That's what you see directly in front of you when you walk up to that aisle in Target and you're looking at a product. You take the product from the shelf and then you start turning it from side to side and reading. So there's going to be two panels. We already discussed what could go on one panel. On the other one, I suggest you do the directions for use and the ingredients. So you want to be really clear about this, and I'll go into that later when I walk you through the PDF. But for our pretend product, I'm saying apply 4 drops to the palm of your hand. Rub hands together and spread evenly across a freshly washed and toned face. And yes, I realize across is spelled incorrectly. I'm sorry. Follow up with one of our facial creams or facial oils. In a pinch, you can add a few drops of oil to this product in your hand for an all-in-one moisturization step, right? So this way they know how to use the product, right? They're not going to do random stuff like put it on after their moisturizer or skip days with it. They'll understand, okay, this is a part of washing my face, So when I wash my face, I'm going to wash it all the time. I'm going to tone it all the time. I'm going to do this hydrating thing, and then I'm going to finish up with moisturization. But if I'm in a rush and this feels like an extra step, I can mix the two products together. Yay. So, and in that, you've subtly also upsold them to your moisturizer. Ingredients, distilled water, herbal complex. So this is where you would list all your herbal extracts, right? Aloe vera juice, hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, vitamin B3, L-ascorbic acid, vitamin C, gluconolactone with sodium benzoate. Okay, so now let's look at it all in one place. Let's look at the PDF that'll be in the library, should you choose to subscribe, or just you can always come back to this free YouTube video and just kind of fast forward to this part. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to go to a different, screen for that particular video. Okay, so what should go on your product label? So the first thing is we're looking on the front label. We're going to put our logo. We're going to put our brand name, but that's only if you can't identify the brand name easily from the logo, because we want them to be able to have a way to remember you or remember your company if they are not buying on the spot, so they can come back later and buy from their phone or buy, at another store or so forth. Okay, so you want a product name. You want to choose an obvious name that clearly identifies what this is for. Is it for cleansing, for toning, for styling, etc.? And then the next thing you'll want to have is a subtitle. So you're going to choose either ingredients or buzzwords that indicate that this product is innovative, special, or specifically geared to cater to their needs, right? You want to do a size, and not a weight, but the size of the product. So in fluid ounces or in milliliters/liters, depending on the size of your product. So definitely remember to do volume and not weight, because people want to know how big it is and not how heavy it is. Side panel. You're going to do benefits, and this is where you're going to show off. You're going to highlight key ingredients and how they are specifically employed to create the desired outcome. For example, botanicals, oils, cosmetic ingredients that nourish, balance, rejuvenate, heal, soothe, are anti-inflammatory, anti-aging, gentle enough for a newborn, etc. And you're also going to do things like right. And you're also going to put on this side panel the address of manufacture, which is legally required in many countries, including here in the United States. And you're going to give them a way for give them a way to contact you directly should they desire to. Okay, and then side panel, directions for use. This is the other side panel. You're going to be very specific. You're going to give variations for skin or hair type, age, style, etc., where it's relevant. And I'll give you an example. Let's just say you're doing a curl cream and it works for multiple textures of hair. Then say how each texture of hair would use that curl cream, right? Or if you're making a family conditioner and you want to say this is what how you use it on a newborn, but adults can use it this way, right? Because if they don't use the products properly or consistently, they will have poor results and you'll miss out on a repeat sale. And you could possibly get bad reviews, right? So help people use the product properly for optimal results. This also becomes an opportunity to upsell to other products in your system, because in the directions, you are hinting at a routine, okay? So in my hyaluronic acid example, I said, after washing and toning your face, use the hyaluronic acid before you finish up with a moisturizer or oil. So I'm giving them directions for how to use it, but I'm telling them we're in a routine that is a signature routine for my system that I want them to use it. This might interest them in actually getting the system, right? Maybe they've always only used face cream or face lotion and they're like, facial oil, okay. And then they start thinking, well, maybe I should try the facial oil. So, just be clear about that. A lot of people don't use the directions to the maximum benefit that they could get out of them. Okay, and also I can't speak for every country in the world, and I'm certainly not a lawyer, so I tend not to speak on legal things, but I know that in the United States, giving clear directions for use is one of the legal requirements. And most people do the bare minimum for what is required for that, instead of maximizing it for marketing. Okay, ingredients. You want to list it in the order of weight from the greatest to the least. So when you're making your formula, whatever is the largest amount or the weightiest or the heaviest product in there, that's going to be first in the list, right? So you're going to list your ingredients from greatest to least. In the United States, botanical names are not required, though you will see them displayed frequently, okay? I think common names connect directly with the customer more because people know what lavender is, but when you start saying lavender augustifolia and this and that, people are like, so people want to connect with the actual extract, with the actual herb, without feeling intimidated or confused, all right? So you'll see a lot of botanical names because people are gunning for retail space. People often feel like they have a complex of some sort, so they feel like they have to appear very official and very grand. And so people will use botanical names so that they can appeal to buyers, but not buyers as in customers, buyers as in buyers of retail joints. So they want to appeal to the people who buy for Target or who buy for Sephora or who buy for Ulta, right? Rather than to the people who shop in Ulta or shop in Sephora or shop in Target, right? So because we're seeing all of this out and about, we feel like that's what we need to do in order to be enough to be on a retail shelf. But this is my advice. Wait until you have a strong independent following before you start chasing retail, because having a strong independent following is usually what gets you into a retailer anyway. They want to incorporate someone who already has a strong level of sales, right? And who has a very strong engagement on social media, who, all they have to do is tell their people to go to Sally's and it's sold out, or to go to Target and it sells out, Okay, those are the people they're looking for. And you build that sort of a following by being relatable and consistent. So if you start acting, too like out of reach from the beginning, sometimes it doesn't appeal to people. So, it's hard to build a level of trust from the grassroots on up if people don't even understand what's on your label, because you've made it so complicated and sciencey instead of just being straightforward in an environment where you're legally allowed to be straightforward. Now, I understand in some places, botanical names might be required, like in the EU and so forth. In the United States, it's not. And you can even look on the FDA website, and they will tell you what is required. And they say common names are fine. Okay. So, now this is an if there's room situation. So if you're making a bottle that's 8 ounces or say 230 mLs or something like that, there's room to put all kinds of stuff. But if you're selling a bottle that's 30 mLs or 1 fluid ounce, there's less room to be adding extra fancy stuff, right? So that would go on your brochures, your other marketing materials. But if there's room and if you have certification, right, either that you've received, now you can't put these symbols up if you don't actually have the certification, but if you've received the certification for vegan, for USDA organic, for Leaping Bunny, cruelty-free, etc., then go ahead and put them up there. If you have no official certifications because you haven't been inspected and paid the money and received the badge or whatever, then you can state it simply in a sentence, a vegan product with, mostly organic content that is made cruelty-free, in a sanitary environment or whatever you want to say. You can also be creative and think out of the box. So if you're creating a baby care line, one of the things that another mom will trust the most is putting made by a mom. Okay, so they know that you're not just in there for the money, you did it because you care for your own child, which is why you created this line. Right, so just be thinking about key buzzwords you can put on there in the event that you have room for that, for the size of that particular product. Okay, so yeah, that's what would be on the PDF that you get when you sign up for the newsletter. I hope to see you either in the email newsletter or in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow. And I hope that this was helpful for you, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.